Beyond the Woods is an Irish independent horror film. It is written and directed by Seán Breathnach, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and it sees a group of people all coming together for a weekend away at a house, and nearby there is a sinkhole which is emitting a really bad smell, which kind of forces them to stay indoors for most of the time they're spending there. But also, it's not just a smell that has been unleashed from the sinkhole. Something else, something much more evil, is also amongst them. So this film has been released already on video on demand. It comes to DVD on the 19th of February. And is it any good? Well, given its budget, yeah, I think it's alright. I think it's worth a watch. It's not going to blow anyone away, I don't think, but I think once you look at what they've gotten away with, given how much money they've obviously not had to work with, I think there's a lot here to be impressed by. Given some other recent efforts from the low budget indie crowd, Ice Cream Truck, I'm thinking of you, I think this one stands head and shoulders above the likes of films like that. For a start, the performances are a lot more realistic. A lot of the script here, a lot of the moments between the characters feels ad-libbed. Not always to the film's benefit, I think sometimes it shows, but for the most part the actors do a pretty good job of making us believe that these are a group of people who've known each other for a considerable length of time. I think Breathnach does a pretty good job of building tension throughout. You never really know what's going to happen, although I would say maybe there's an over-reliance on jump scares, and I do think there are times when certain things that could have been shown are not, and again I guess that comes down to the budget, but I don't know, I feel like there may have been ways to work around that. At a certain point in the film we do get to see the force of evil that is kind of hunting these people down, and I think I would have preferred it if they'd have not shown us that. Sometimes it looks good when they do close-ups of its face, it's pretty gnarly, but I think the rest of it, its body, I just don't think they were able to put enough into it to make it a truly terrifying creature. I think they use their location pretty effectively as well. You know, they stay confined to essentially one location, this house, and some of the woodland that surrounds it. I think horror movies always work best when you take characters and put them in isolated situations. You cut them off from the rest of the world, and I think as we see these people going crazy, they don't know if what they're seeing is real or whether it's all in their heads or what. Yeah, I think that location does feed in to the atmosphere, to the sense of dread that the director is trying to build there. One of the difficulties I did have with the film is that there doesn't really seem to be a standout central character. All of these people, these 7 people in this house, they all kind of get the same amount of screen time in effect. At various points we'll be following them, so there's no clear-cut protagonist, so to speak, and I think that made it quite hard for me to sympathise with any of them really, and a lot of them do get up to rather despicable things. There's one character who is a bit more sympathetic, and at one point I thought it might be his film, it might be his journey, but it doesn't really feel like that. It doesn't feel that way to me because, like I say, we spend so much time, the same amount of time, roughly speaking, with each of these characters. I don't really know what camera this film was shot on, but it looks like something like a 5D, something of that ilk. I've seen films shot on these cameras. I've even shot a couple myself, been involved in the shooting of a couple myself. And you know, if that's the case, if that's the kind of technology they're working with here, then like I say, I think they've done a real bang-up job. I think they've shown you what is capable of very limited resources, and in that regard, I would give this film quite a high mark. If you're comparing it to other films of that kind of subset, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5. If I'm measuring it up against, you know, every movie out there, which is more what I'm prone to do. I'm not often known for giving free passes, but yeah, I'd probably still give it a 3. I think it's a solid horror film. I think if you're into indie movies, if you're just not just indie horror but indie movies in general, you want to see what you can do with very little resources. I think this is definitely worth checking out. If you have already seen this film, I would like to know what you thought about it. Comment below, let me know your thoughts, and until next time,